Do you think the sheet masks are the new plastic straws? I realized I really don't know a lot about how sheet masks are made. Like, what is the sheet even made out of? How do they even cut up these little holes, and what happens to these excess bits? And what happens when we discard the sheet mask? So I'm gonna go research and report back to you about my findings, and also with some sustainable alternatives to sheet masks. Okay, so I've been using sheet masks since I was a little kid in Korea, but what do they even do? A sheet mask is simply a face-shaped sheet drenched in a whole bunch of serum that can target specific skin concerns. But its real superpower comes from this thing called occlusion, which is basically a scientific way of saying it stops the serum from evaporating into the air. Because of this, it can be more effective than using a serum alone. Okay, I get it. Sheet masks are effective, but is it sustainable? That's the question that we're trying to answer. So we've done tons of research here, and we talked to experts, which helped us understand how sheet masks are made and the environmental impact of it. So before we get into all the details, I actually want to share some crazy fun facts and the history of sheet masks. Legend has it that Cleopatra has used pure gold as a sheet mask. We did a rough calculation of how much that would cost nowadays. So we estimated 9 grams, which would cost about $542.32, which is insane. So if you were like Cleopatra, who used pure gold sheet mask every day, it would cost you $197,000 a year, which is pure insanity. Then there's Empress Sissi of Austria, who is known to be one of the most beautiful women who lived in her days, and she apparently slept in a mask that is soaked in olive oil and, get this, raw veal. That is crazy, but I guess that was natural? Okay, now let's see how sheet masks are made in 60 seconds. The raw materials that go into making sheet masks are cotton, preservatives, hydrating ingredients, actives, and a lot of times fragrance. Cotton is mostly sourced from India or China. Most often for sheet masks, waste cotton and cotton byproducts are used to make the mask itself. The cotton arrives at the sheet mask manufacturing facility in these large spools. The material needs to be then carefully sterilized to ensure that there's no bacteria whatsoever. Then the thin cotton is cycled through these cylinders, which cut the face shapes into the material. Sensors and cameras do a quality check to ensure that all of the shapes are uniform, and once the masks have passed that checkpoint, they are folded into 3 and then again folded into 2 and ready to be slotted into their packaging. While this is happening, other machines are hard at work making the plastic sleeves for each individual face mask. Large cylindrical sheets of plastic are collected and fed into machines that print the design. The printed rolls are then chopped up and ready to be molded into their final form. The last step is adding the formula to the product and sealing the packaging. And that's how sheet masks are manufactured, from raw materials to packaging. Okay, I just finished reading tons of information compiled by our researcher, Abby, and I think we've landed on mainly 2 big sustainability concerns with sheet masks. The very first one being its raw material itself. But to be fair, sheet masks are using waste cotton, which is basically the scrap or leftover from the garment and textile industry. But that doesn't mean we're in the clear, because cotton as a whole is probably one of the most resource-intensive and land-intensive crop cultures out there that often comes with a negative impact on the local economy and local environment as well. This is a very similar situation with petroleum jelly, where we discussed in the petroleum jelly episode right here, where you can click it on. But we learned that petroleum jelly doesn't, extract crude oil to create petroleum jelly. It's mainly using a byproduct or a waste of other petroleum-derived products. And that sparks a whole, interesting conversation and a controversial conversation of, is this sustainable because it is upcycling waste or not? What we know is that we should definitely move away from relying on the cotton industry and the fossil fuel industry. So making a sheet mask is highly resource intensive, as we learned, but what makes the matter worse is that it being a single-use product. Literally same with makeup wipes, cotton pads, that you throw it away after using it only once. So do you think sheet masks are the new plastic straws? Because I think it is. I know the beauty industry can be very, very wasteful, but there are some companies that are doing something about it already, including the beauty retailer called Credo Beauty. They recently announced that they're gonna ban any single-use beauty products such as sheet mask and makeup wipes. And nowadays there are so many reusable options for single-use beauty products, such as reusable cotton pads and reusable sheet mask as well. And this is what I mean by reusable sheet mask, which is made out of silicone that you can reuse infinitely. And I've been using it for years and I love it because I can pair it with any of the skincare products that I already love, because sometimes for sensitive skin, single-use sheet mask can be a lot because it can have a lot of preservative to make sure that the sheet is mold-free, which can be, you know, irritating for sensitive skin. But to find out if this is actually a better and a more sustainable alternative, I'm gonna ask my friend Anisha from Bluebird.
Because it's created and it's meant to be more durable, you actually are using more material in the production of the reusable sheet masks. But over time, you're meant to be able to reduce that by basically taking that amount of waste and dividing it over the number of times you've actually used it. This one we've assumed can be used up to 550 times based off of both data from the brand as well as research that we've done on other products that are made of silicone and can be reused. Actually looking apples to apples between the silicone production and the cotton production, you actually see that silicone production is actually less intensive.
So if you're converted to buying a reusable sheet mask, make sure that you actually reuse it, because we all know what happened to all of our reusable grocery bags that are just accumulating dust in the closet. Just remember that these are only sustainable options when you actually reuse it. Another great alternative that is actually really affordable would be doing a petroleum jelly mask, or basically slugging. Yes, this is basically not a sheet mask, but the way that it works is very similar. Our final recommendation is not to use a sheet mask at all. When I was living in Korea, I thought I can never break up with sheet mask because it's so ingrained in the self-care ritual as a culture. You do it with your partner, you do it with your friends at a slumber party as an activity to do together, to bond together. But my life still can sustain without it. If you really want to and have to use a disposable sheet mask, sometimes the materials like biocellulose materials that are made out of fermented bacteria are oftentimes better and kinder to the environment when it breaks down. That was it for today's Rewinding episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel for more videos. And if you're curious about how petroleum jelly is made and the environmental impact of it, make sure you click on this video as well. I'll see you guys later and take care. Bye!